Howdy ho, my crafty friends. How are you today? I want to bring you down here and show you what I am working on. I am collaging around the inner edge. I can't see if you can see what I'm doing or not. The inner edge of our box here. And I'm just using the gel matte medium. And it's just around the top edge here, like this. And I'm using my book pages. And before I started, I used my ink, and I used the ground espresso, and I did use ink, not oxide, because I knew that by using the matte medium, it's a liquid, and if I used anything on it, hold on a second. I needed the trash can. If I used anything liquid on it, it would run and it would make a mess. So I used the ink on it to prevent that. Because once I finished inking everything, it wouldn't run. So I'm just tearing off different pieces of book paper, just however they come. And I am just brushing the matte medium across here. And any pieces of paper that didn't get stuck down last night or in our previous video, this is part 2. I'm just going over them. Now, any book page that is already there, I'm not covering up. So this piece will just go right over top of it. And any matte medium that was put on it will just secure it a little bit better. So I'm not going to worry about it, that it's got matte medium on it, and I didn't put a new book page on it, because these book pages that are going down are also going to get inked just like this one. But they're going to have to dry first. So I'll just tear off some more. And I'm not worried about the shape or the size or anything like that. I'm just tearing off sizes that maybe fit the space that I need. For what's open. Let's see, I need something small up there. And if I need to trim it, I'll trim it after it's dry. Okay, that'll work. Like that. And then also after it's dry, I can ink it up well. Okay, so I need to put some more. This is what I'm using. I'm using the soft gel matte medium, and I've used it so much, I'm going to have to be getting some more here pretty soon. And I just lay the pieces down, and then I go over top of them. It's just your basic collage. And I don't worry if some of the paper, the brown paper shows. I'm not that concerned about that. That's okay. And I don't want this part, the edges. I just want the words right now. Okay, so when I come to these corners right here, I'm making sure I have matte medium on both sides of the corners, like this. And then I'm taking a bigger piece of book page, like this. I'm taking a bigger piece, and I'm putting it down in the corner, all the way down to the bottom. And I'm poking it down in the corner like that. That way I know I have book page that wraps all the way around the corner. I want to make sure you can see that. It wraps all the way around the corner. Like that. And then I can build on top of that. The boys say hello. And then any other smaller pieces I can put up there too. I have no idea what they're barking at. Sorry, guys. let's put this piece here. Like that, okay? Now, back here, if you can see, this brown piece, this little brown piece right here, didn't get glued all the way. So, I'm just going to use the matte medium, and I'm just going to tuck it in there. Oh, gracious, I'm going to have to go see what they're fussing at. And I'm just going to make sure that it's down flat. And the same on this side. It didn't get glued down all the way. Okay, let's make sure that those edges are down. Are your puppies barking back at Adam? Hold on just a minute, guys. I just closed the door. My neighbor, Mr. Roberts, is taking a walk. Okay. All right. So I'm going to do the same thing across the back. PJ's going to be barking a while. He's an older gentleman, and he walks really slow. He's like me. He walks really slow. Here he comes. He's coming to tell me. He's out there. Okay. Now, I'm going to take... Now, down here, I don't need a big piece. Okay? Well, actually I do, because I'm going to wrap it from here to here. So, I'm going to go on and take this piece. It doesn't have to be that big, but I've got it, so I might as well stick it on there. So, I'm going to go on and put it here. Make sure it goes around both corners. And find the flattest side and stick it down there. It's a little bit too tall, but that's all right. And I'm just tucking it in the corner like that. Okay, so I need to make sure the matte medium comes all the way out. And what that does is that adds more support to your corners. Between the paper and the glue, it adds more support to your corners. And your corners can never have more support than they need. They always need as much support as you can give them. Okay. So by doing that, you've given them a little more support. Here we go. Even though we did some last night, or in video 1, I keep saying last night because that's when I did part 1. Here we go. That the more you can give it, the better. Because you need your corners to be nice and sturdy. Now this won't take a long time to dry, but it will take a little bit of time. So I wouldn't even bother messing with inking the bottoms of this or inking this until it's probably set a good 24 hours, because you don't want to mess up your daubers. You don't want to mess up your ink pads. It's not worth it. Just let it sit. Especially if you're using something like the matte gel medium, if you're using Mod Podge, And they do make a Mod Podge paper that you can use. You know, you can use that. You can use something like an Elmer's blend if you want. If you do, you just need to use it lightly, okay? Use it lightly because remember, this is just a book and you don't want it to get too wet because it will warp your book cover if you do. So you don't want it to be too wet. So just, you know, use your really wet white glue sparingly. Okay, so I'm almost done here. Now, for the bottom of this, for down here, and I'm thinking even for the top, for up here, I think I want to use my master board that I made. Only because it kind of matches the inside of this. Oops. And I'll show it to you here as soon as I get these last little pieces on. Well, that little piece wiggled. Because it's got the book page, it's got the tissue paper, it's been stamped. And I really like it. So I think, now I can cut that. I'm making a line with my finger from where I'm going to trim it. But I want to use that because it matches this. Okay, so everything is down. And I think these two little pieces can be trimmed here. There we go. Now, I'm going to let these dry, and then I can trim those. This little piece is dry enough. I can trim it. Okay, let's get these scraps in the trash. Okay, so for down here, this is not going to be heavy enough to hold my masterboard. So I'm going to go pop this in some water real quick. You know what? Actually, I can just put it right here because I have some water on my table. So I'm just going to dump a little bit of water here. And I'm going to sit my brush in this water. Clean it out a little bit so it doesn't dry out. This is just an old children's brush that I have from back when I was a Girl Scout leader. So if it does dry out, it won't break my heart or anything. I have like 5,000 of them. All right, put the lid on that. Now, down here, this is, let me adjust you here so I can show you the masterboard I want to use. I want to use a piece of this masterboard for the bottom. I want to cut a piece of this to fit down in the bottom. And very possibly to fit up here also. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I've thought about it all night. And I think that's what I want to do. And then on the outside, out here, I want to use the scrap of this that I have left. I think that's what I'm going to do. So, because on the inside, you know, it's all book pages. Oop, I didn't get enough stuff up here, behind here, because that's not sticking down. So I'll have to take care of that. Let's get that up there. And if I'm going to use masterboard up there, I might leave this paper and wrap this paper up there. I don't know yet. So, and I didn't get any here either. So if I do that, that means I'll have to do another, you know, row of paper up to there so it can cover it, but we'll see. So I'm going to cut a piece of this paper to fit on the inside bottom here. Now, to measure this, I need the size of my box. So I'm going to sit this down here. Now, I'm all wiggly jiggly on the, you know, on here. So I really can't go by this edge because this edge is not straight to start with. But I can just put this here, and any scraps that I have, that's good because I can use them. And I'm just going to draw around my book. Let's see if I have a pencil that looks a little bit better. Here, I'll use my mechanical pencil. That might work better. And I'm going to draw around my book. Now I'm drawing around my actual book. Like this. And I will show you that one of my sides did move yesterday. And I don't think if I do it this way, I'm not going to have enough for the top. So I need to move this. I need to do it this way. That way I'll have enough over here. Okay, so I need to do it up here. So let's do it up here. One of my sides did move in the process of this drying yesterday because it is not as straight as the second one. Now, as you can see, as I've closed this, I've inked the top also. Okay, so there's my piece. So I'm going to go on and I'm just going to use my scissors because I don't think my paper cutter would cut through all this stuff that I have on here. And I have to make sure I can see my pencil line. Okay. Now, I hope I got this drawn straight. Now these scraps I'm going to keep because they can be used. Now here are the scraps. See, these will be very nice scraps to use. And here is what I hope will fit in the bottom. Oh, well, that's upside down. That won't fit in the bottom, will it? So let's see. It looks a little bit big. And it is big. All right, so let's mark. Let's mark where I need to. here's one corner. Right here's one corner. All right. Okay, so there's one, and there's one. Now, let me get my ruler here, right here. Yeah, let's see if that fits lengthwise. Okay. Now, widthwise, we need to go this way. Okay, here's my cutting board. All right, so that should fit. There. All right, so that corner is a little bit snug. So I think I'm gonna round it. Let's see. If we round these corners, let's see if it fits in here. I think that might help. Not be so, let's try that. All right, that is still just a smidgen snug right there. But I think it's my cutting more than anything else. Just a smidgen, right? Right there. Okay, let's line it up here on a line. Yeah, I mean, it is just a sliver. Just a sliver. that is off. There. That is what was off right there. All right, let me use my scissors to round this corner back up. All right, now we should be ready to go. There we go. Okay, so to secure this into the bottom, I'm just going to glue it because I'm pretty sure that my gel matte medium isn't going to hold it. So to do that, because it's on, it's just on packing paper. Okay, so I want to save these scraps. I think I want to use my tacky glue. It's not very wet and it won't warp my book cover. So I can go on and put my tacky glue down. And then I can, actually, I think I'm going to put it down on this. I think it'll be easier to spread on this. So I can put it out on this. Let me make sure you guys can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, it's flowing much better today than it has in the past because my craft room's a little bit warmer. All right, so I'm going to spread this out. Yeah, I need some on this edge here, over here. I need this some over here on this edge. And up on this edge. Now for this, your edges are going to be your most important. Okay, let's get this down here. Okay, we are in the bottom. Okay, I need my paper towel, and it is right here. Oh goodness, things are going everywhere. Okay, I think my sides are big enough here, or dry enough here. I can ink them after we get this down, pushed down. Okay, now my sides are dry enough. Let me feel them here. Except for my back. My back isn't quite dry enough, so I won't bother with my back side yet. I'll go on and do these others. And I'm going to put a little bit of my ground espresso, and I'm going to start here in the front, and I'm just lightly going over it just to make sure that it's not, you know, white. And I am then going to touch it with the vintage photo. Because I want everything to match. So at this point, you need to also make sure that your edges are done. Okay. Now I'll let that back dry a little bit longer before I do it. Now you can also use your brushes if you don't want to use your daubers. Use your brushes. Okay, so there's my inside. Except my back isn't done. I need to ink my back. But I do think if I'm going to add this up here, I want to bring this paper all the way up and wrap it around so that this is a this paper covers this line right here. It covers that. Otherwise, I'm going to have a break and there's not going to be anything there. So I do think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to bring some more paper over here, and I'm going to get my brush, and I'm just going to dry it off on my paper towel. Let me put my water away. And get my matte medium back out. And I'm going to lay my book like this. Okay, now I don't want those parts. I don't want the edges. I just want the text. Now I'm going to take my matte medium across here, and I'm actually going to come up onto the back of the book. You see where I've actually come up onto the back of the book a little bit. Oh, probably about an inch all the way across to make sure that any book that I've had there, book pages I've had there up till this point, are down. I want to make sure that they are secured. So I've come up about an inch. Okay. And then I'm going to take these book pages and I'm just going to tear them into different shapes, because now I need to fill in this part of the spine of the book. But I need to continue down here toward the bottom from where I left off. And these are going to be smaller pieces to start with. And I have to fill them in. So you need to take your finger and you need to push them into that spine area. So you're just going to have to take your fingernail and you're going to have to push them into that spine area, because they need to stay down. So once you get them in, you got to push them down. Now you can use a tool like this if you want. But your book needs to be able to bend with those tools there, with the book pages there. But you're not going to be able to move this book around until all that dries. So it's going to sit again until all this dries. That's why I said in the last video This is a project of patience. Because everything has to dry in between all the steps. So I think I will use my tool and push everything down in there. Make sure it's good and flat. Now, this little tool I'm using is just one of my palette knives. That's all it is. I had it out for a project yesterday that I was doing on my deck. So it just happens to be out. Put that piece there and then I'll shove them both down at the same time. Oops. Grab my brush by the wrong hand. Okay. Okay, so everything's going to have to dry before I can close my book. Now I'm going to come over and work on this side. So, and I'm going to have to also add more. Remember how we anchored in? I'm going to have to anchor in some more up here because I don't have enough really to hold those. They're just kind of sitting there going, what in the heck? Yep, here he comes back. Okay, so let's come over here to this side. Now, this is not the time of your project to say, well, I'm going to skimp on my glue. I'm running out. This is the time of your project to say, I need to make sure that everything's down. I'm not saying soak your book board, but I'm saying you need to make sure everything is down and secure. So you need to make sure everything is down and everything is secure all the way across. So you need to use a secure glue that's going to hold it. And you need to, if that means you add an extra row of book pages, or you add bigger book pages, then that's what you do. Like you saw, I added a long strip here because I noticed that just was not holding right there. And I thought, I have got to get that secure. And this is a bigger piece than what I've been using because I'm right in the middle here. But I know that has got to hold. Or when I fold this, it's not going to hold. It's going to break off and it's going to fold up. And I have several videos to make today, and I'm going to allow this to dry while I make those videos before I even post this That way I can let everything dry before I post and take my pictures. And okay, so now I'm going to try to do a row all the way across to secure and make it level with the piece I did up here. Now it's going to get covered, I know that, with the next piece that I cut. But at least I know, and these are bigger pieces, but at least I know those pieces that I put there, they're not going anywhere. Because they're glued down and they are held in place by another piece of paper. And I'm not going to see them in a minute because I'm putting down another piece of my... Okay. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to make sure this is in all the way across. And you see when I pushed right here, it was not. So I either don't have enough glue under this, which is most likely the problem. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to let this dry. Let it completely dry. Okay, I'm going to, again, put my matte medium brush back in the water because I've cleaned it off. Let's put my matte medium back down here and put that up in the water. And this is what it looks like so far. Now, when I cut my next piece, it will cover it up. So let's see the size that I need. Now, make sure you clean your tools. I need to clean that tool off or it's going to be ruined. So where is that water? Here it is. So I can use my squirt bottle here. Okay, let's get out our baby wipe and get things cleaned off here. And then we're going to cut our next piece. But always clean your tools like this. If you're using tools like this with matte medium, if you're using them with modeling paste, make sure you clean them because your tools are everything. Okay. Let's get that cleaned off. There we go. That's clean. My hands are clean, so I won't be sticking to everything. Now, let's move this stuff out of the way. Move the water back where it goes. Okay. This is what we need. All right, so this is going to go here. Let's see, which way does it go? I don't think it really has a way, but all right, so I want it to go down here to the fold like that. So there. To there. Okay, now I have my line. So I'm going to move this over to here. And I'm going to bring my cutting board over here. And I drew my line right there for my width. It's right there. Let's see if we can't fold this straight. See if that helps. That's better. All right. Now, let's put this down here. Now, we're going to cut this off here. That way. I'm going to save that one. All right, let's make sure. Check once, cut twice. Now, I do want to cut off these little prickly edges before I... Let's trim that off. That will help. There we go. That will help us keep things straight. Well, both are wrong. How the heck did we do that? Let's just measure in here. Let's just forget all this silliness. Okay, I'm just gonna do it that way. All right, this should fit. Let me make sure my ruler's straight. What I did was I measured the blue inner page. Instead of messing around with trying to keep it straight. Now I'm putting my ruler on a line top and bottom. Okay, now we're going to cut here. We're going to cut on that line, and then we're going to cut the next one. So this will be the height. Okay. And I still didn't cut it right, did I? Good thing we have scraps, huh? Must not have been able to see it all. Okay, let's see. Where does it... Oh, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is. Well, it's not long enough. It is folding right, but it's not long enough. I think it stops right here. So I'm going to put it right there, but I'm still not quite long enough that way. So we can take some of our scraps and just add to it. And since it's a masterboard, it'll be okay. So let's do that. Let's take this off. Okay, so I'm going to line this up here, and I'm going to take this scrap here that I cut off, and I want the darker edge at the top, and I'm going to put it underneath like that. And then at the top, I want, where's this piece? I want some of this. So I'm going to add some of this across the top. Like that. Let's see, is that piece long enough? No. Okay, maybe this piece is long enough. Okay, maybe we'll add this piece long enough. All right, this piece is long enough. So we'll add that piece at the top. We'll add this piece. We'll hide that piece into the side. Good gravy. All right, and I think I'm going to use, where did it go? Here it is. And we're just going to use our tacky glue for this. And I'm not going to put it on top. I'm going to put it underneath. So this piece is going to go here. And I might actually do some tearing in after I get it glued to make it look like I've added it. Maybe. I'm not quite sure now that I've glued it. I might just put it on. Since I need it spread out, I'm just going to spread it out. Okay, maybe we'll do it that way. All right, so I'm just tearing off some pieces here and filling them in like they should be filled in. That's what I'm doing, just to make them look like they belong. Okay, so then let's get some glue on. Let's do the same thing on this side. I don't know how in the world I cut that so off. That's just crazy. You're just crazy, Lori. You are just crazy. And I think we're just going to maybe center it. So we'll put some on this side too. We will just make it work. Was it supposed to be this piece? Maybe it was supposed to be that piece. I don't think so. Okay. We'll make it work. Okay, well, this is going to be the inside, and it's going to go, and I think I'm going to add maybe some other things on the top to cover my edges where I mismeasured so that it's not as obvious, like maybe some ribbon pieces or some fabric pieces, you know, different things like that. So in the meantime, let's get this glued down so I can see exactly what I have done. Come on. Let's get this spread out here. And then we will get maybe some other fabrics, just some fun little fabrics, and maybe some scraps from that other paper to cover on there. Oh my gracious. You would just move really, really slow. And then you'll just decorate from there. Okay. Okay, now that's down too far. That needs to come up. It's going to be in the fold. I don't want it in the fold. There, I want it right there. So this piece can move. No, that piece is okay then. It doesn't need to be there because I don't want it in the fold down there. I can go over there. I'll let that dry. Oh, well, it's not as bad as I thought it was. I just had it down too far. I had it down where the book folded. Like here's what it looks like on the inside. And I had this down where the book folds. And it's still down a little bit too far. It needs to come up. It needs to move up. So, because it's down, there. Okay, see, actually I have it down a little bit too far. So let's see if we can move it up before my glue gets too dry. So I need to make sure that this piece is not where the book is going to fold. Because that is not a good thing. There. That's better. And then this piece can come off. Much better. Okay. Now, you need to come out of here, and I will adjust you. That's much better. Okay. You can go there. There are going to be some things I have to re-glue because I keep moving them. Oh, much better. Okay, so here's how the book folds now. Hold on here. I need to put that back down. So the book folds like this. Okay. And now I need to get some more glue under there since I lifted it up. There. And I need to clean it off. Okay. And the area that we worked on to make sure that the fold, hold on a second, you guys. I need to clean this off here. Okay, so here's the inside. The fold right here where we worked to bring all these pieces up to the top, you know, to make sure they were secure. This now lays on top of them, see? And is part of this now, which works out very nicely. So once everything is dry here, I'll be able to ink this, but it's not dry yet. So I need to let everything sit like this and stop wiggling it around so that these pages can dry. All these book pages down here can dry, down here can dry, and up here on this edge can dry because I keep moving them and they're not able to dry. And my fingers stick to them and pull them up. So if I've pulled them up too much, then I'll have to go in with my art glitter glue in that little tiny nozzle and, you know, and push them and glue them down again. But I'll see here shortly. I'll let them glue and dry a little bit and then I'll see. But that's what the top and the inside looks like that. Now, if I do need to, I can always come in with some other decorations. I can come in with some ribbon or some other pieces of this cardstock that I have, you know, to fill in some areas if I choose to, you know, to make it look like there are some things already laying in my box that, you know, are just part of the box. But I want it to dry first. I want it to completely dry, and then I can cut things like this out, maybe some other stamps, maybe some postcards and things like that, and then just have them glued in there, and then maybe I'll decoupage the whole thing on the inside to keep it secure and safe before I use the whole box again, and then that will have to dry. Now, from this step, once this is dry and I know everything is secure, then I can decorate the front of the box. But right now, this needs to sit like this so it can dry. So in our next video, that will be part 3, we'll decorate the front of the box. And I hope you join me for that little adventure to see how that goes, because we're going to decorate the front. And I haven't quite decided how we're going to put that paper on yet. I think we're going to continue with the tacky glue because the tacky glue seems to be working very well. It doesn't seem to be bubbling up this book cover at all. And I've already got the book cover inked, so I think the tacky glue will work very well on it in putting down that cardstock. And the book is already inked, so we'll be ready to go on it. So it shouldn't be that big of a deal. And hopefully I'll be able to get it pre-cut and ready to roll before I start filming in part 1. This is 2 in part 3 of our video. So I hope you join me in part 3 when we add our cover, and maybe we'll come up with a closure. I've been trying to think if I want to add a closure, and I'm not really sure how I want to do that. I kind of think I do, but I'm not sure what I want to add. So you never know what we're going to come up with. So until I see you again in our next Ladybug Journals video, ta-ta for now.